Number one, we're starting with the London terminus. What do I think should have changed about the London terminus? So, apart from the fact that I think architecturally it's going to be rubbish, it's surrounded by oversight development that I think should get lost. There are other problems with Euston as a station, and we talked about quite a few of those in episode 79, why there's no HS1, HS2 link, and how it should look if there was. Well, this is a little bit of an addendum to that, because I think there is a possible additional thing that you could do. So there are a variety of things going on here. There's a lot of lines on this map. These maps are less. We're going to get Google Earth up, which will help this be a bit clearer. But the kind of prompt version of the map, which I'm going to scribble on, is less clear. But so the black lines up here, these black lines up here, are this is HS1, HS2 phase 1 up here, and you can see within that you've got the original link. The original HS1, HS2 link doing this, connecting up the North London line, and then it coming down and connecting up with this bit of railway, which actually is both the North London line and below it, HS1. Hopefully that's nice and clear for those of you looking. So that's there, HS1 there. Obviously HS1 goes into St P. HS2 goes into the expanded Euston, and this is the 11 platform version that we're looking at here. What I think you could do, as an alternative to the original King's Cross through platform proposal, which was going to be that HS1 would have come up here and gone through here, and then have kind of come out like that, and you'd have had the kind of the through platforms kind of like this a bit, kind of like that, but when they go back to that episode to find out. Rather than doing that, what I've actually got is I'm going to get rid of all my scribbles. Is coming off the HS2 phase 1 tunnels here, and actually, and in terms of staging, anyway, I'll get back to staging in a second. Right, so peeling off new tunnel that would come round. You can see my kink in my pen here, and basically building a station underneath the existing subsurface lines under Euston. So essentially closing Euston, doing a bit of a St Enoch station in Glasgow type situation where you have you support all the existing underground station, but you kind of excavate around it, build a big box, expand that box, and put through platforms there to connect onto HS1. You might go, well, why would you do that? Well, that's service-wise, that's problematic. The whole point is that you need somewhere to turn these services around, otherwise you have to have more trains to run the services. Well, I would argue the case that you'd run that this enables you to have that connection through London into the southeast and provide better through connectivity, and you get that channel tunnel connectivity. I think this could be an option, and what it would allow you to do is you could. You could have a certain number of platforms here. You could reduce the scale of the surface station at Euston. Arguably, you could then better integrate it into the existing station. Perhaps you could build. So in terms of phasing, oh, by the way, that then comes up here, goes under King's Cross, then connects up to HS1 up here. So you'd have to do. There'd be some wherever you do the junction. There would be some challenges to get that tunnel. You might have to actually bore a parallel tunnel and then do the connecting junction somewhere up here where there's a bit more space, so you don't undermine people's houses. You definitely have a unified station. So to give an idea, the length of HS2 trains is about that. So that distance is about the length of an HS2 train. That's about 400 meters. 400 meters. So yes, absolutely would justify the connection. I mean, Crossrail 2 was going to do the same thing. But I think, again, you'd integrate this with the Crossrail 2 station if and when that got built. So anyway, I'm not saying this should happen. I'm saying it would have been nice if they had thought about this at the time, and I think this is a possible opportunity, would have been a better opportunity, because what they could have done is, stage 1, you'd have done a simpler surface level station, and then stage 2, you'd have built you kind of built these, and opened and run these. And you could have had some of them as terminating platforms. You could use them as terminating platforms as well as through running, but it gives you a through running in both directions. And then stage 3 would have been then to integrate, do a better job of integrating everything at Euston, both at surface and at low level. So that's what I think there. But I have technology that allows us to have a little closer look at what's going on here, because Look, it's Google Earth. And just checking nothing naughty is on display. No, it isn't. Good. Let's go down to London and have a look, shall we? So this is going to be a bit clearer, I think. So if we go down here, and you can see things a little bit more clearly about where they're going to be. Ignore the fact that these things are all adjusting themselves vertically. There we go. So you can see the HS2 is coming through here. I've only done one center line here. HS2 coming through here. You'd probably end up with like a shaft here. And then it would run underneath all these posh people gardens. Good. Go underneath here. And then it would connect up with where you basically build out. So you do your best to so you'd probably build some... You'd use some of the opportunities of demolition here and possibly purchase some of the older, one or more old buildings that could do with being refurbished to use as entrances to station and shafts and things. But you just close, absolutely screw Euston Road, just close that off entirely, create bus diversions and so on, screw everyone, build it there. Yes, this would require enormous planning to deal with obviously the temporary works for such a thing. But build it kind of parallel with it, and then kind of essentially expand it northwards. So you'd have some platforms parallel with Euston Road, but you'd kind of punch underground a bit further north, depending on what the layout of the stations underneath are. So that's how we do it. People are asking, if you plan this from the start, would you still have a Euston expansion at the first stage? And most of that, why does this keep doing this? I need to get the old blue tack out, but there's something weird going on about heat and wires, because I think I fitted that in winter, didn't I? The heat is making it behave weirdly. Anyway, sorry about that. Yes, Euston expansion at the first stage, yes. Because no, most of it would not be unused, because most station services, you'd still have a good chunk of services pulling into pulling in and terminating in London. Yeah, so you'd still use the Euston expansion. The point is that you'd get additional potential capacity, and it'd be a good idea to build in a potential passive provision for expansion of the underground station to have through services. So you'd kind of get both. So you rather than having to do so for phase 2. Essentially, you'd be changing what services run where, so you'd rebalance it. But no, I think there'd be a place for both, because you would need the capacity for terminate. Most services would still terminate London. That's me thoughts. Sold on this until you saw Hopsital. There's the hospital here. There's it's fine. There's loads. You can't avoid loads of stuff that's going to be annoyed and bothered by all this. Obviously this is me doing some crayonisting. There's all sorts of. I mean, this is also just today, really, me having a quick look at this for an hour before the episode. I have a kind of a vague idea of what I would do here, and you'd definitely be altering the geometry based on all the underground services and lines, because there are so many tunnels under here. There's just a mass of tunnels. Anyway, so that is what I would do. That I think would be so. Obviously, as you all know from previous episodes, I like the idea of there being a massive, a massive city centre hub station down here at Farringdon. But I think as a compromise option, this would work better. Yes. So yeah, agreed. You'd go deep. So you'd have to have lots of nice fast escalators, because you'd have to go quite deep to be able to get under all the stuff, and there's a lot of stuff around here. It would be a pretty challenging bit of civil engineering, but I think it would be quite a neat link solution in terms of providing that connection through. I think that would kind of work quite nicely as an option.